Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad, this is my channel Animate Orange, and welcome to another build and review video today. Today on the table we are going to be building and looking at the cable car from Metal Earth. This is an older model, this is a fairly simple model, and because it's such a quick build, and this is going to be such a quick build video, I'm just going to throw the build and the review together in one. Doesn't make a lot of sense to separate it. So let's go over to the table, see what's inside, talk a little bit about tools, throw this thing together. Here we have the San Francisco cable car. I believe this to be a simple model, but let us look inside and see what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? We have, quite simply, one metal sheet and one piece of paper for instructions. The instructions are in a newer style, so I'm thankful for that. I want to say this model is old enough that the older style was like the tall yellow sheets that weren't always the best instructions. But let's see what we have here, because Metal Earth has made a lot of wonderful improvements to their instructions over the years. Folded in half, so we just see the top half of this. We've got page 1 and page 2. I'm going to go over the instructions rather briefly for those of you who have not built a Metal Earth model. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. You got your Metal Earth logo, you got a line drawing of the model and of one of the sheets. 360 view, you've got a QR code or a website you can go to if you wanted to see a finished model that you can spin around on screen for reference sake. It does come in handy sometimes. I have a sample part with notations on insertion tabs, fold line and insertion holes. Ultimately, insertion tabs go into insertion holes on the same part on different parts. That's how this thing is built. And fold lines are pre-scored areas where the metal usually folds or curves. Helps it to fold, bend, or curve easier. We have a legend, and this is a really nice legend we have here. We've got E for engraved side, which usually points at the engraved or detailed side of the model. When you're holding a part flat, it's helpful to know which side is facing which way. NE points at the non-engraved side. That doesn't always mean there's no engraving at all, but usually it's not detailed engraving. It may be fold lines, but you don't really want the fold lines. They're not considered in the engraving, usually. The attention point points at, usually it's an alignment issue. It's trying to get your attention about the way something lines so you don't mess it up. We have a blue circle and green triangle. Blue circle means to insert a tab, fold it 90 degrees. Green triangle means to insert the tab and twist it 90 degrees. The folded tabs are cleaner looking and usually on the outside. The twisted tabs are usually more secure and oftentimes on inside parts or parts where it just really needs to be secure. We have assembly tips. Basically, if you're twisting a tab, pull and twist. Pull as you twist to kind of screw it and give it a tighter connection. That usually works. There's notation about tools over here. We'll talk about tools here in just a moment. Below that we have line drawing of the sheet with the parts on it. As you can see here, and all the parts are numbered, or there's numbers around this pointing to the part, so you can find the part when it is referenced in the assembly flowchart, which starts over here on part 2. Starting with big old part 1, pretty simple. This shows you how the sides fold up, and then we have part 2 times 2, so there's 2 part 2s, and they go along the bottom side. One's kind of grayed out, one is not. There are your wheels. Go down below that, we have this part right here, which really isn't numbered. I don't see a number for that, though it ought to be pretty obvious what part that is. I don't know why they don't have that numbered. Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that before. It looks to be parts 3, but there's not an actual part 3 on there. That is a first for me. These appear to be part 3. I mean, it's pretty obvious which parts they are according to this drawing. That's labeled as 3. For whatever reason, I don't see a part 3 on there. So, a small error. One that most people probably figured out and didn't think much of. Let's go on the side, and you end up with that. Once you get to the bottom, you jump down to page 3, slide down the page, in this case, flip it over because we folded it, pick up with part 4, and then go to part 5 and 6, and just follow the assembly flowcharts, and pretty quickly we should be done with this model. So let's talk about some tools. Let's talk a little bit about tools. The very basics of what you're going to need is a pair of tweezers and some clippers. The tweezers, you can do a lot of bending, shaping, twisting of tabs, folding of things over. The clippers are going to help you get the pieces out of the sheets cleanly and easily by clipping them out instead of trying to bend them out, which can cause damage. I've also supplemented my set with some precision tweezers. I have a couple of pointed ones here. One, I ground the tip down just a little bit to give it a more sturdy tip for tabs and twisting things, and then I have a precision flat set, and between all of these I can do a lot of bending and shaping and twisting. I had to be careful bending over the tabs here, as the pressure would easily bend the sides of the cable car. One of the tabs came out real close to another part. It made it difficult to twist it good, but I don't think the seats are going to go anywhere. Bending the sides down here took a little extra care. I started by trying to bend the sides over with the long nose pliers with one bend, but there's another piece that kind of gets in the way. I needed to work at bending the two ends separately to keep from bending the wrong thing. Getting these back two tabs on made for a tight squeeze. I secured the top two tabs to keep them in while I worked on getting the other two tabs in. I didn't try to curve the top part, assuming that the tabs would pull it into shape for me. Plus, the top section is perforated, making it easy to shape. I also did not put a curve in the smaller upper piece of the roof, which I should have, but in my defense, did not originally notice that it had a curve. Realizing that the top section was supposed to have a curve, I worked to put a curve in it with the pliers after it was attached. The instructions didn't indicate it, but the picture on the package and photos of actual cable cars showed that the grab bars on the side face outwards, so I bent them all outwards on the model. And that's it. It's all finished. The cable car. Cable car is a pretty simple model to build. I believe this is from kind of the older collection. It's a newer packaging is what I've got here, but I believe this model's been around a while. If you look on the back, it's very much in the green. It's not listed at the easiest green, but I don't know that there'd be much difference. This model took me about 30 minutes to put together. And quite frankly, because it's such a quick model, I'm just going to go ahead and take the time to review it right now, since this is a fairly short video and a very short build. There's not many pieces to it. There's a little bit of challenge getting some of the tabs into place, namely this one long section here, trying to get the back tabs. I believe it was that side. Good gracious, I can't even remember. No, it's this side. This side right here. It's one big piece. There's two tabs in the top here. The tabs that go in the bottom are kind of a little tricky to get in. They didn't want to line up, and that might possibly be because I didn't bend the corners sharp enough. And bending the corners, as you noticed in the build, I tried to do it as one fold all the way across, but then you've got this little arm piece right here that sticks out that gets in the way, and that prevents you from folding it with one long swoop if you want. I mean, you can try it, but then these corner pieces are so tiny they're just going to kind of curve and not bend. So I had to work at them, and I may not have gotten them quite sharp enough to make that angle so the tabs completely line up. I made a little bit of a mistake in the top here by not curving that, so I guess the usual question, if there's anything that if I had this to do again, what would I do differently? And that would be curving this top piece, putting a little curve in it with like one of my 3D printed tools or a dowel rod before attaching it. Other than that, everything went very easily, very smoothly. This is a very simple model. I'm definitely going to add this to my beginners list. If you're looking for models to get started with, this is a great one right here. This is only a handful of pieces. There's 11 part numbers for this model, and 2 of the pieces are duplicated, so that brings it up to about 13 pieces altogether. It's very quick, a very simple model, a fun little build to kind of get you back on your feet, which is kind of what I needed right now. I've had a lot of stuff going on. I've had some big builds, and this is a nice, quick, easy one to throw together really quick and feel like I'm accomplishing something. The perforated top gives it some more detail. It's got the little sign. I believe that's the street number, perhaps, or is that the name of the vehicle? I'm honestly not sure, because I have never seen in person or ridden on a cable car. The closest I've ever gotten are those city buses that are dressed up to look like a cable car, but they're city buses, so it doesn't count. I've never actually seen a cable car like this in person. It's got a nice amount of detail, a little plain on the bottom, but being such a simple model, it's something you're going to put down like that to display, so you're not going to be looking at the bottom. The parts that you can see do have a nice amount of detail. Inexpensive model, quick, easy build, fun and rewarding. There you go. I'm going to leave it at that. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. I forgot to mention that this was a viewer request, and it took me too long to get to it. Got several more viewer requests on the way that I'm working on, trying to get back on track. Thank you for watching, and keep on keeping on.